You know me.
I'm looking at.
He's sitting here looking at me.
Well, you're the public right now. You're the public.
For at least one more month.
Just a few more weeks. And I don't guess that, I'm gonna stand here, but, I think part of my thing was SFOS and, wanting to make sure that, it's several things, and I told Jonathan, the only thing I can really speak to, guys, on budget is parks and recreation, because that's what I've been kind of looking into. I know there's a lot I don't know, but, I'm concerned with the fact that, we budget enough money for things like trying to hit at this revitalization of Macomber, trying to get the Patriots Park functional, cleaning up the JC Park. And then the other thing is we've really got to concentrate on the city. And I don't think somebody told me that wasn't as big a budget item as I thought it might be, but seeing what we can do about keeping our sidewalks. I mean, we've got so much grass growing up in our sidewalks, they're never edged. And sometimes I think if we look pretty, we feel pretty. And I think that'd go a long way to our citizens. And I don't know how and I know that's an animal in itself and I've never mentioned it, but several people mentioned it, and I noticed it every day. The first time I met Michelle, I rode her through Rincon showing her that 2 years ago. So I just want to make sure that these items are considered and we have accessible funds to make a good battle on some of these items.
Absolutely, and Mayor and Council, if it's okay with you guys, I had a presentation ready for the first reading. I can kind of go through that really quickly and keep the floor open for comment in case anyone would like to come back up to speak on that. So. All right, so.
Some of the things you're mentioning are basically daily activities, and so if it requires more than what we have been doing, then that may need to be accounted for in the budget. If we're talking about something beyond, if we're not where we need to be, then normal is probably not a good place.
Well, I'll just, keep it fairly informal. So this is a presentation on our proposed FY 2024 budget for the city. The budget, as a document is an investment for not only our employees, but it's an investment in our city, our communities, children and youth, our future strategic plan goals, current and future infrastructure, and our future. So just some highlights here. Our proposed budget of all funds for FY 2024 is $17,562,731.13. That number last year was $16,136,435. That's an increase of 8.9%. That percentage may not sound like a lot, but that's just over $1.4 million in additional, not only expenses, but also additional revenue. The budget is proposed as a balanced budget. For those that may not understand that, that balance means that we are taking in as much money as we're spending, or we're only spending what we're taking in. That is what is proposed. Now it's broken up into two categories. The general fund, which will be essentially your non-revenue generating departments, planning, zoning, finance, administration, recreation, police department. Those are all part of general fund. For FY 2024, all those funds combined have a budget number of $7,982,277.77. That number last year or this year is $7,049,170. There's an increase of 13.2%, or just over $933,000. Our enterprise fund, or your business type activities as they're called, golf, water and sewer, fire, those funds that generate their own sources of revenue, they're treated more like individual businesses. For FY 2024, those revenues and expenses for departments are $9,580,453.36. That's up from $9,087,265 from this current year, previous year. It's an increase of 5.4%, or $493,000. So that is just a fund summary. Broken out by fund for both revenues and expenses. As you can see, FY 2024 proposed revenue and expense totals are both $17,562,731.13, showing a balanced budget. As you can see, we're doing well. The revenues are what is really allowing us the benefit of being able to have that balanced budget. We were very conservative on the revenue projections. We exceeded a lot of our projections across a lot of our funds and line items last year, as you will be able to see in your budget document. We kept those very conservative because they're, it is a projection game. So we wanted to make sure that we kept those at a manageable level so that we're not inclined to possibly spend more than we think we could take in. So I think we're at a very good level. And if we take in more than that, we will definitely be able to utilize that in our unobligated fund balance and put that away. So this is just the highlights. We proposed budget is 8.9% higher than last year. We'll also make sure to always point out that we're doing all of this, rolling that millage rate back to zero again. So there's nothing there, that we are not using anything in our unobligated funds and restricted funds. We are not projecting to move any of that over. So whatever number is there will continue to stay there, plus what we will put in at the end of this year when the audit comes through and we reconcile everything. We do have in there the recommendation for a 4.5% increase for every employee. 2% of that would go across the board to every employee as a cost of living increase. There is a budget of 2.5% merit for every employee. We have to budget it for every employee, but that is going to be based on evaluations, and not all employees may get that 2.5%. That is going to be based off their evaluations. But we did have to budget that just to be safe and not run into any issues. Just some highlights: staff-related costs, personnel account for 30% of our budget. We did have a 3%. An increase of 3% to employee health insurance plan coverage options. So any employee that is in a different category other than employee only will see about a 3% increase in their premiums that come out of their paycheck. Last year there was I believe it was a 7% increase, and the city absorbed all of that cost. So this year we had to pass a little bit. We had to pass that 3% on to those employees. Some highlights that are in the budget. Parks and Recreation Master Plan is budgeted. The update of the comprehensive plan is in the budget. Updating our personnel policies, as well as updating the pay and compensation study, because those are both due for a comprehensive overhaul. This is just break it down a little bit more. These are our revenues and expenses by fund. The same number you see here is the revenue as well as the expense for the proposed FY 2024 budget. General fund, $7,982,277.77. Fire fund revenues and expenses, $1,469,000. Golf fund revenues and expenses, $996,800. Sanitation, $770,000. Water and sewer fund revenues and expenses, and that's a combined number for both water and sewer, $6,087,653.36. And the other fund revenues, which are your stormwater fund and your water impact fund, are $257,000. So I know that we had an email, and I was thinking Mr. Kirkland would be here. I'll respond to his email tomorrow. Just a little bit of information about our fund balance. At the end of FY21, we added $1,239,535 to our unrestricted fund balance. That brought that balance up to $4,895,333, or roughly 61% of our current proposed expenditure. So we have about 60% of our budget set aside. Now, and more than likely it is more than that now. We will not know what that new number is until we get our audit finalized that's being finished up this month. That number is very hard to project, to keep a running total of, because you have to wait till the end of the year to make sure everything is reconciled. And you also wait to see, okay, we may have spent $5 less in this account, but $7 more in another account. So it's really not that. So once all that gets going, that goes in there. And I do want to go here to show you, when you go to our audit and look, one of the first pages, it shows you what that unrestricted number is right here. So that will be there when we come in. And I'm only showing for general fund. Those other numbers are for business type activities, those funds, golf, fire, water and sewer. Well, we can't move that money. That has to stay within those funds. So when you think of the reserve fund, unrestricted, the unobligated fund balance, we think of that smaller number, that $4,895,000 number. So I would not be surprised if that goes up to roughly about 6 million when the current audit's done, and that'll probably increase more than that when the audit for the current fiscal year we're in comes due this time next year. And we're in a really good financial position with that going, and you can just see, I mean, well, a $1.2 million increase from year over year for a budget of our size, that's a really good job of managing that money and the things that have been put into place. So I'll just go back to our slides here. So again, we have no plans to touch that money. That our budget is balanced without any sort of influx from that fund balance. So this is more just a breakdown of by department in the general fund where we are. So that just kind of shows you every department. That interdepartmental, that covers all of those bigger expenses, the attorneys and some of the planning stuff. There's our contingency line item, and any of that intergovernmental money goes in there. So it's kind of a catch-all. Recreation and PD are our largest expenditures for our general fund with the PD, and that's typical wherever you go. The PD is $2.8 million out of that $7.9 million. So they're just under 33% of our overall general fund for expenses. And this is just the same thing for our enterprise/business fund activities. Business type activities where your water operations and your wastewater treatment plant are going to be your higher end providers, the fire department. And that's just based on what they have to do with their with their employees. They're doing well with all those, as well as the separation of the golf maintenance and golf pro shop activities in that one. But the overall budget impact for the business type activities, enterprise funds, is $9,580,453.36. So this is just what is in the budget. It was in the email that I sent you all in the middle of November when we sent this out. The new positions that are still included in the budget that we have been able to fund are the golf course superintendent. It was already funded, but we shifted, just to make people know, we shifted that from being a contracted position to being a full-time position. The deputy court clerk position, 3 new full-time police officer positions, a full-time code enforcement officer, the assistant to the city manager position, and unfortunately, I apologize that it's not on here, an additional full-time position at the maintenance barn, which was intended to be that irrigation tech position that would go with the golf course. And of course,
Now, the assistant to the city manager, that's, I know what it is, but just to make sure it's not an assistant city manager. It's an executive assistant.
that is correct, yes.
Administrative assistant.
Project manager, whatever you want to call it.
Administrative assistant.
Yes, sir. Not an assistant city manager. That is correct. You are correct, yes, sir. That
Just
is-
make sure
Yeah.
Yes.
I will keep saying that. It is assistant to, yes, sir. That is 100% correct. And just some highlights of our proposed SPOS fund. We're keeping the estimated revenue at 2.5 million for FY24, and just some of the highlights of what's in there. Some additional patrol cars for the PD, 120,000. Parks equipment and upgrades to Macomber Park, 300,000. Chipper sweeper equipment for Public Works, 371,000. The siren upgrades to have them go digital, where they push button operation, no longer having to go out there. 21,000. A new K9. I don't want to call it a K9 upgrade. We'll just call it a new K9 at the PD at 23,000. And there's some other items in there, but I just wanted to hit some of those big ticket items across the departments.
Jonathan, if you could, I've got all the numbers.
Yes, sir.
But I like, your recap here, makes it very simple to correlate to the numbers.
Yes, sir.
So if you could try to make sure that we all get a paper copy of that.
Oh, yes, sir. All right.
As well, that would be helpful.
I will absolutely do that, yes, sir. And then just some highlights of what we have, a few of the things that we have done in the current budget, and this is for the public, and they want to know, hey, what did you guys do this year? We've got had a dedicated IT staff member. We got our RinconGA.gov obtained. We started our Microsoft 365 transition, Patriots Park Playground. I'm optimistic that will be finalized before the end of this budget year. Please let it be. New golf cart fleet was delivered. We have started the implementation of GoGov. We're going to call that, it's going to be known as our citizen request system. That's that, hey, here's our push notifications. Here's how you track projects. Here's how you report a complaint. That's that system. I've been told we should be up and running with that, 1st of January.
Awesome.
As we go forward. New PD and court software has been implemented. We have awarded the bids for the new planning and development software and finance software, so that transition and migration is underway right now. There's just a lot of back end work that goes into that. I don't know why that looks bad, but Delcia's line is terrible. Implemented Granicus is the city's new online agenda management software. I'm not sure why that font is messed up. Kept the millage rate at 0. Revised the comp time, flex time policy for the employees. We updated the requirements for the city's fence ordinance, and Terry, they revised the rules and procedures for planning and zoning board this year. So just a lot of moving parts on top of doing the day-to-day things that the departments do. So this is almost an outdated slide at this point to get everything adopted in the first reading, but that was kind of our process to get everything done, and that recommended budget adoption date will probably get shifted. That will get shifted back, but.
So at this time, we should be able to say the December 11th date would be the first reading. And if we set a meeting for the 18th, then be the second
Well, it
reading.
won't be the 18th. We're supposed to go out to dinner.
That's lunch.
Oh, it's lunch? Oh, okay, then we're good.
So
My
then
apologies.
the 18th would become the second reading, and that puts us back on track.
Yes, sir, the 18th would be the second reading and the adoption, yes, sir.
Okay. Oh, well, let me put that in my phone.
So I think we almost have to now plan on a meeting on the 18th.
We can do that. I can send that out in emails tomorrow, but.
I
yeah.
think it's gonna be necessary.
I
I think
think
we're
it
gonna
is.
find some other things that's gonna need to be taken care of before the end of the year.
Sure.
Tim will have something come up.
Yeah.
He always
That's-
does.
And that was it. That's just a quick presentation, a quick go through, and I'll do all this again.
Yeah.
At the meeting on the 11th, or on the 11th and the 18th, so.
Mhm.
That was it. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor. I guess we're still in the public hearing, so if there's any other public comment or input, now would be the time. Hearing none, Mayor, I will go ahead and I'll close the public hearing and turn it back over to you.
Okay. All right, well, as previously stated, we're unable to take any action. I appreciate the presentation, Mr. Lynn. Thank you for that, and look forward to getting that recap to us
Yes, sir.
so that we can align that with the numbers. Council, have any questions or comments for Mr. Lynn in regards to the proposed budget?
No, he hit it. I was looking at my notes from our budget workshop, and I think he covered it.
All right,
Oh, wait, the new car for City Hall. We discussed that. That's in there, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
All right. That's it.
Ben, you got anything?
No, I was just looking, I was following some of what Patrick said, and the one I was concerned about was the reserves, but we can't get a number, until we finished all it, like you said, so I understand that, so. Projected somewhere maybe upwards to 2.5 million, yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's safe to say we would be in that 6 million range for the end of last budget year, and then we're gonna be in just as good, if not a better position for this current budget year, so as long as we're not touching it, and then that conversation starts, and I know that's not a right now conversation, at some point, how high do you get that number before you have to start spending?
That was my question,
Yeah.
and I think what we need to do, Jonathan, is we need to take an action that determines a minimum in our reserve and a maximum in our reserve. And then that's our gauge. And then we can, if we start needing to spend money, honestly, I think it's probably more than we need in reserve right now. But I'm glad we've got it, but I think we need to establish minimum and
That's a good
maximum.
point, yeah.
And then, when we reach that maximum, then we can start setting it aside for, special projects, capital expenditures, that kind of. One of the worst thing that happen is you not have enough.
Yes,
But
sir.
when you have too much money and it's sitting there, and you got projects that can be done, then I would think the public would expect us to utilize that money to accomplish those things. So, I'm not I'm not advocating that we just go out and start spending money. Let's get our guidelines, let's get our guardrails in place to determine what our boundaries are. And then let's start thinking about how we can utilize that money.
Sure, and that's why we're all on the same page, and come Monday, the 11th, there will be an item on the agenda to recommend financial advisors. Now, I think we're at that point now, they come in, they look at stuff like that, they get you in that position, and, it is an amazing problem to have. We are
Oh,
very
yeah.
fortunate to be in that position right now, and we need to make sure that we're doing everything right, so.
Well, every organization always generally has a minimum reserve for operation. And so that's, you don't go anywhere that you don't find that.
Yeah.
But it is rare to find a reserve to the extent that we have.
Yes, sir.
So I'm glad for it.
Yeah, so, yeah, we will be on that, so that's good times, good problems.
Yeah. All right. Anything else from all of the council? All right, well, I guess, as Bob the Builder would say, my work here is done. We can't really do anything else, so,
Unless
Thank you.
anybody out there has any questions.
Does anybody from the public have any questions?
all right, thank you, John.
Yes, sir, thank you. You don't have much longer just to be the public, so.